Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. This is a channel where I paint my face, turn my camera on, and talk about some books. I have officially received my first ever ARCs, and I am so excited about it. I received both of these books from HarperCollins, so thank you very much for accepting my request for both of these books. I'm super excited to read them, but I thought, of course, I'm going to mark this occasion by reading these two ARCs in a vlog with you guys, so we can sort of vlog the experience of reading my first ones, what I think of these books, and give a full-on review that's dedicated to these books that are coming out very soon. So I've got two books here, and the first one is A Song of Salvation by Alechia Dow. Beautiful, stunning cover, just so vibrant in color and just shiny almost in the way that like the light is shown to reflect off the character's skin. It's just stunning cover. As for what it's about, it is apparently a YA space opera of epic proportions from Alechia Dow with a page-turning plot and moving themes of self-discovery and found family. So the blurb says, the fate of the universe comes down to three people: Zyra, the god of creation reborn, Wesley the smuggler, Reuben, the wanted space podcaster. As an intergalactic war culminates on Earth, Zyra, Wesley, and Reuben are all that stand in the way of total destruction. I've just started this one. I don't have anything much to say because I am only like 28 pages in, but I am enjoying it so far. It's taken me a minute to get into it because it is a bit info dumpy at the beginning. It's not something I would usually pick up. YA, space opera, sci-fi especially, you know, it's not a genre that I find myself diving into very often, but I'm intrigued by it and the cover absolutely sold me. So this is book number one. And book number two that I'll be reading immediately afterwards is Kismat Connection by Ananya Devarajan. I'm so sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, but again, a beautiful cover. I love the two characters on the front here. They are just gorgeous characters. Sorry, there was a weird like thumping outside my window which terrified me, but as for what it's about, it's apparently a charming YA debut with friends to lovers romance and themes of cultural identity that's perfect for fans of When Dimple Met Rishi. Not a book that I've read, but anyway. It says Madhuri Iyer's star chart and family legacy dictate that she will marry her first boyfriend, so to prove the existence of her free will, she devises an experimental relationship with the one boy she'll never fall for, not knowing he has been in love with her for years. Okay, so it's a bit of pining, bit of fake dating it seems as well, so I'm super keen for this. That actually sounds really interesting. Very much a YA romance, a little bit of sort of magic in there with that star chart and the sort of prophecy, I guess, aspect. I'm super keen for this one as well. So these are the two books that I'm going to be reading. This is one I'm reading first, and I have to head off to work because I'm going to be late if I don't leave now. So yeah, let's get straight into this vlog and read these two amazing proofs that I got from HarperCollins. Hey, excuse the bare face and the not so fab lighting. It is, what time is it? 8:30 p.m. in London right now, which means it's still bright outside, but it's not amazing. But anyway, I wanted to come in here quickly with an update for A Song of Salvation by Alechia Dow, I think is how you pronounce the author's name. But before I do that, I wanted to do a quick book haul because I've acquired quite a few new books recently, and some of them are ones that I'm really excited about because I read the first book in the series and I loved it, and now I've got the second one and it's just come out. And if you're wondering the book I'm talking about, The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson, I am so excited to have this in my possession. I'm kind of sad that I don't have the Fairy Loot edition, but you know what, it's fine. This one is still beautiful as well. Nice, simple hardcover, bright blue dust jacket that is going to look absolutely stunning on my shelf next to the, I think, yellow edition or pink, I can't remember, of Her Majesty's Royal Coven that I have. I mean, this is a stunning book. If you don't already know about it, I did a whole reading vlog where part of that vlog I read Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which is the first book in this series. This is the second book. It has just come out. I could not be more excited to read it. It follows a sort of witch coven who, upon the appearance of the prophesied sullied child, these women who used to be really good friends when they were little are sort of forced to come back into each other's lives and readapt to how they've all changed and grown over time. Relationships are created and completely torn apart. It has really important conversations around really key societal issues, be it race, be it class, be it gender identity, sexuality. It is just an incredible book, and I cannot wait to get stuck into the sequel. I'm planning to do a dedicated spoilery vlog where I read this and chronicle the whole experience, so let me know if that's something you're interested in seeing, because it's definitely something I would like to do. But that is the first book. Next up, I picked up King of Pride by Anna Huang. Sorry, it's like super reflective against the light that's coming in from my
window, so you can't really see the title or anything very well if I don't hold it just right, but this is the sequel in a new series by this author. I have only read the Twisted series by Anna Huang, and I enjoyed it. It was definitely a good time, guilty pleasure kind of read rather than being anything outstanding, but I'm still keen to pick up the next series by this author. I've got the first book, King of Wrath, and now I've got this one, and I'm keen. Then we've got a book which I accidentally bought 2 copies of, so I just sold one of them on Vinted, but I've still got the remaining copy, and that is The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. This is a sort of sequel, spin-off kind of book to The Soulmate Equation, following the main character in that book's best friend, Felicity, or Fizzy Chen. Presumably, she finds her true love in this book. I'm keen to give this a go and give Christina Lauren another chance. Then I picked up a book that's definitely been doing the rounds on BookTube, BookTok, all that kind of thing, and that is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I've had so many people raving about how amazing this book is and how it absolutely tore them up, how it broke their heart, how it made them believe in love. So I am super excited to give this a go. I am terrified by it because the pages are like Bible thin and the text is quite small as well. And lastly, after my success reading The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon and absolutely loving it, I have picked up the rest of that series. So we've got The Mask Falling, The Song Rising, and The Mime Order. I don't know if I've just said those in the right order or not. I don't know what order this series goes in, but hopefully I got it something close to right. But anyway, I picked up this full series. It's a sort of dystopian series. I think it has a fantasy-ish element in it. I can't remember off the top of my head, and there is a romance in there as well. So that's the last books that I picked up as part of this book haul. But now we get to the important bit, which is talking about my thoughts on this story. So I am about 110 pages into this book, and I'm having an okay time. I'm not having the most amazing time, but it's really interesting and it's really intriguing, and it's a very, very quick and readable book. It's been a really, really fast-paced read for me. I think let's first talk about the things that I'm liking about this book. So the first thing I'm liking is that it really kicked off into the story from the get-go. The plot kicks off from the moment you start the read, and it really just throws you into this world in this really fast-paced and all-encompassing way. It throws a lot of information at you all at once, and you're sort of just expected to wade through it, and that kind of worked for me. I found myself really reading this very, very quickly. The other thing that I will say that I liked about this book is the prologue. I thought it was a little bit cringy, but I still had a bit of fun reading the prologue in the way it was written, in this almost omniscient kind of way, as if, you know, the author is trying to break the fourth wall, speak directly to the reader and prepare them for what they're about to read in this book. Another thing I liked about it is that the world is definitely intriguing me at the moment. It seems to be this kind of world where there are these 2 gods who are the sort of main power, I guess, in this world, but everybody actually living on the various planets seems to have forgotten them or not really know the importance of them. They're just not front of mind. They're not worshipped in the same way. So they've all split off into their own like factions or kingdoms or planets or whatever you want to call it. But then you have the main character who this war between these 2 gods is only too real for her, because she is the reincarnation, I guess, of one of the gods. And so she has all this power, and she's trying to come to terms with the fact that basically her entire race has been wiped out, and she has all this power, and she's supposed to recruit this guy named Wesley to help her save the world. Wesley heard that there's this prophecy that, you know, one of the Daniels brothers is going to save the world, and he thinks it's not him because he thinks it's a coward, but I assume there's going to be some coming of age, coming into power kind of storyline going on there for how he's going to help our main character, Zara, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. And then you've got this fun like podcaster who's definitely a personality, who definitely lives the high life. He's very unaware, I think, of everything that's going on around him, and his name is Ruben, though he is like a political podcaster, so he critiques the government that's in control. That aspect of the story is definitely interesting to me, because it's like this ragtag group of people who are just thrown together in order to save this world, and half of them don't know what they're doing. But there are a few elements of this story that I am struggling with, and the first part that I'm struggling with at the moment is that it feels a bit overwritten. It feels very, very repetitive at times, and there are things that I think can definitely be cut out, definitely be reduced down. Like, I don't need to be told multiple times that Zara needs the help of Wesley in order to save her world. And I think the author needs to place a little bit more trust in her reader and their ability to read between the lines and make assumptions and create the story in their own mind. There's a lot of telling that is going on and not enough showing. I think the story was also very info dumpy at the beginning in the way it was trying to build the world. It was trying to describe all these different political factions, all these different planets, the traveling between these different planets, then all the different characters and their relationships to each other and their backstory and their history. And it all got really, really complicated to the point where I've kind of blanked out a lot of the background information and I'm just experiencing the story as it is, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing because it's still a fast-paced read for me and I'm still enjoying myself, but I think it's not having the impact that it's intended to have on me and I'm not connecting to the characters in the world in the way that I would want to because I was just so confused at the beginning trying to come to terms with all this new terminology. I think the story really should have been simplified down a lot at the beginning at least before then growing throughout the story or even throughout the series. If this is one in a series, I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I just think there was too much information thrown in at the beginning and it could have done with a little bit of simplifying, a little bit of removal of things that weren't necessarily relevant until later on in the story. I'm really liking the main character of Zyra, but I also think that she is very blunt and stunted sometimes in her dialogue and it's a little bit awkward, but that might be because it's so repetitive. So if that repetition is removed, then the dialogue might feel a bit more natural. I like that this is multi-POV and I haven't spent enough time in Wesley and Ruben's POVs yet in order to make a real distinction of what I think about those characters, but I do really like that Ruben's POV, I guess, is written through a podcast, so it's kind of got that mixed media element in there, and everybody knows I love a good mixed media. But yeah, all in all, I think the atmosphere of this read at the moment so far, about 110 pages in, is slightly hindered by the fact that I have kind of blanked out the backstory and the history of a lot of this world, and I'm just experiencing the story, which means I'm not connecting to the characters, and it's all because I think it's a little bit overwritten and it's a little bit info dumpy and the world's very confusing. There's a lot of elements to wrap your head around, and honestly, I kind of feel like I need to take notes as I'm reading this book rather than just kind of enjoying it. That's my thoughts on the book so far. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading and maybe read another 100 pages. The book itself is just over 300 pages long, so maybe I'll do 3 updates for this book, 3 updates for the next one. I guess we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna continue reading this book. I'm working from home tomorrow, so I'll have more opportunities to like take my lunch break and finish work on time so that I can get more reading done tomorrow. So hopefully I can get this finished by midday tomorrow and crack straight into Kismat Connection tomorrow evening and get that book read and reviewed for you as well. So yeah, that is my update. I guess I will see you in a little bit when I have another update for you. Hey, it's the next morning just before I'm about to start work. We've got a location change because my bedroom currently where my bookshelf is a mess right now and I do not need that to be immortalized on the interwebs. So we're avoiding that space and we're filming that in the lounge with my washing in the background, which I guess isn't much better. Hey, at least it looks a little bit more organized. Let's be honest, it probably doesn't. Anyway, I'm here to update you on this lovely book, A Song of Salvation by Alechia. I realized that right after I updated you guys last time, I read a little bit more of the book and I realized that this has actually got like parts in it, and the last update I gave you was right before part 2. So now I'm updating you right as we get into part 3 because it just seems like a sensible place to give an update. And my update is that I am enjoying this book more than I was previously when I spoke to you about it. I do still think that it reads quite young and I do still think that it is a little bit overwritten. But now that everything is sort of kicked off in terms of the relationships are growing between the different characters and the plot is a bit more steady, still fast paced, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit more steady in how it tackles each issue that comes up. I'm actually enjoying the read a lot more because I'm getting time to dive into those aspects of the story that weren't clear from the get-go. There are also a few more mixed media elements in this part than there were in the previous ones, and we've got perspectives from different characters as well in the world briefly, and I think these characters are going to become more relevant as the story progresses, but for now we've just got brief snippets, so moments I guess that make us look forward to getting to know these characters in more detail and how they'll come into play in the larger plot. Admittedly, I really do like the music-based magic in this book. I think it's a really inventive and original way to have magic manifest, especially in this main character. And there is a budding romance in here that is absolutely adorable too, and it just has those moments where it brings such levity and such flirtation to a lot of the scenes that these two characters are present in, which I'm loving. Though I will say that whilst I understand going through everything these characters have gone through in such a short space of time can really foster an intense relationship and a very speedy sort of
found family bond. I think these guys jumped straight into that found family a little faster than perhaps I would have liked, especially the characters of Wesley and Zyra, who were very much against each other, didn't like each other all that much at the beginning. And then I think in the space of about a chapter, without any real interaction between the two of them, all of a sudden they were really dedicated and committed to each other and helping each other, and this found family just became a thing. So I would have liked a little bit more, I think, depth into creating that bond between those two characters in particular. But yeah, I'm liking part 2 a lot more than part 1. I'm just about to jump into part 3, but as I said, I've got to get to work now, so I'll be reading part 3 on my lunch break, and at the end of the day, hopefully I can have this book finished by the end of today, and then I can jump straight into Kismat Connection this evening and get that book smashed out so I can keep going with all the other stuff that I've got planned at the moment. Obviously, because it's a work day, not much planned in terms of life stuff. I do have to go to Asda at some point today to do my grocery shop, so that might be the lunchtime task, I guess, but other than that, not much interesting things to tell you on the life front. So I'm gonna get to work, and you are going to see me in a little bit, hopefully with my final review of A Song of Salvation and the first update, I guess, of the next book. So I'll see you in a second. Hey, this is Editing Beth here with a rather embarrassing admission to reveal about myself, which is that I thought I filmed a full review of A Song of Salvation and I was just about to get into editing it, but it seems I never actually pressed record on that one. So now there's about 10 minutes worth of footage that just wasn't ever recorded, and that's embarrassing. And because I'm lazy and I don't want to go through the whole review again, and because a lot of my other clips have basically already summed up my feelings about it, I just wanted to reveal to you my embarrassing action and then tell you my 1-sentence review of the story and what I rated it. And please ignore the washing machine that is going on in the background right now, because I took the opportunity of me editing to also stick the washing on and get my house tidy while I get this editing done. So yeah, you're gonna have to ignore that, and ignore my forgetfulness, and ignore the fact that you only get 1 sentence worth of review plus a rating for this story. And my rating is that I gave it 2.5 stars, and my 1-sentence review says, a somewhat overwritten and info dump beginning to the story had me struggling at first, but once that slowed down and the story refocused on character development and the core plot, I found myself enjoying this read a lot more. So essentially everything I'm saying in that review is things you've already heard in my previous clips, so glad we are on the same page about this story. I think that it needed a bit more development in those familial relationships in order to build out this found family aspect a bit more, so it didn't feel like they went from hating each other or being ambivalent towards each other right into, oh my god, we will die for each other. As for the atmosphere, I think it was a little bit overwritten, was a little bit repetitive, which made it a little bit harder to get really invested in the atmosphere of the story. I also think the fact that I was really confused right when all the sort of intro stuff was being covered at the beginning of the book, because it was very info dumpy. I never fully got to know the world properly, so that impacted the atmosphere a little bit. But I loved the characters. I thought they were so amazing. I thought each of them grew really well. I thought the romance that bloomed between two characters that I didn't expect to fall in love was so cute and beautiful and gorgeous and just everything. So yeah, the story got 2.5 stars and I enjoyed myself, but there were just a few things that I couldn't get past when it came to really getting invested and immersed in the story. So back to your regular updates of the next book that I'm going to be reading, which is Kismat Connection by Ananya Devarajan. Only thing you missed in terms of that other clip that I forgot to film was me just introing the book and saying this is what it's about. And you already know that because I did that at the beginning of the video. So let's get straight into that and we'll pretend that this didn't happen. This is just normal. Thanks. Much appreciated. Please don't ridicule me in the comments. today. It is Friday evening. I had a half day of work today, which was so nice because I used the opportunity to go and get my hair done. You may notice that it is slightly lighter than it would have been in the first clip. I got some like blonde half head of foils, I think is what it's called, just to really brighten up my hair, and I'm absolutely in love with it. I used to have hair that was like platinum blonde, and that like naturally as well when I was a kid, and then I think as it started to get darker and darker, I would constantly strive to go back to that platinum blonde, and I would pay so much money. And then I stopped about 3 years ago because I found that it was getting, one, really expensive, and two, my hair became like this one note, really boring color. But I went into the salon today and I was like, look, I want to brighten it, but I want my hair to have dimension, you know? I want it to be lots and lots of different colors like threaded in there so that when I braid it or when it's in the sunlight, it looks different depending on which angle you're looking at it from. And I think the lady I went to, her name's Asha, I think she did the most amazing job. Like, look at all the colors that are in there. I'm obsessed. But anyway, that's all aside. I am here to give a reading update, which is that I'm about just over halfway, I think, 190 pages into Kismat Connection by Ananya Devarajan. It's about 290 something pages long, so I've only got about 100 pages left, and I'm really enjoying this. Like, really enjoying this. I think it is so interesting. I think it tackles so many very important issues that are relevant to the two Indian American main characters, but also relevant on a wider context to anyone. And I'm really enjoying how it's discussing those issues, specifically around like familial love and pressure right as you're finishing high school and you're trying to get into the universities that you want, and all those sorts of things that you experience when you're just graduating from high school, those big life changes. But let's go into a bit more of a deep dive. So we've got Madhuri, who is our sort of one of our main characters, and she's definitely felt a lot of pressure all her life. She has had this dream for herself to go to Stanford. That's where she wants to go, that's her goal. And I think she's both found that things come easy to her in terms of like schoolwork and dance and everything, but then also found that she's faced a lot of prejudice and bullying and disrespect from her peers, as well as like feeling that she's not good enough for her parents. You know, they are very like brutal with her, I guess, in some ways. There are even some scenes in here where the way that her parents are talking about her to other people, I'm kind of like, that's a bit mean and disrespectful. Like, aren't you supposed to be on your daughter's side? Like, you're her parents, you're supposed to love her. But then they're saying, oh, everything comes easy to her, she's arrogant. The familial dynamic there is really interesting. But I was worried when I first started this book that I would not like her as a main character, because when you first meet her, you come to terms very quickly with the fact that she's been given this prophecy, I guess, by her mother, and this destiny that she's been given is really negative. It's essentially saying, you know, you're gonna fail at everything this year, but you'll find the man of your dreams and you'll be with him for the rest of your life, as is part of the family curse, which is that all the women in their family end up marrying the first boyfriend they ever have. And in order to sort of defeat this destiny and defeat this prophecy, she decides that she's going to start up this thing called the Kismet experiment, where she essentially fake dates her best friend and then breaks up with him, all with his consent, in order to defeat this family curse, prove this destiny wrong, and really give herself security in knowing that her whole year isn't going to be a failure. But right from the get-go, when she's planning out this whole situation, it becomes very clear that her best friend is obviously very much in love with her, and she is kind of somewhat aware of that, and she is willing to manipulate that in order to meet her own goals, I guess, of, you know, disputing this destiny that's been prophesied for her by her mother. So I thought that she came across as very arrogant, very pessimistic, very rude, very entitled, and very manipulative, and I was really worried that I wouldn't like that. But then as we get to know her as a character a bit more, we experience her insecurities, all the bullying that she's faced, and everything that led her to this point of needing this security. I think that dimension really lends me to liking her a bit more, and if not liking her, being able to understand her a bit more and understand her decisions. Though I will say that at the part that I'm up to now, she's still very much going down that manipulative path. Like, she's saying to this guy after they've kissed for the first time and he's declared his feelings for her, and she's sort of suggested that this could become a relationship, she has sort of one bad moment that makes her question everything again, and she says to her friends, like, I know he's in love with me and I know he thinks that we're going to turn into a real relationship after this experiment's over, so I'm going to use that for this experiment as like more ammunition that I can prove my destiny wrong, and I'm still gonna break up with him knowing how he feels about me because it'll make it more like real. And I was like, well, that's kind of horrible, that's manipulative, that's really bad. But I also can say that I kind of
get why she's doing it, because the motivations behind it is that she just needs that security and that stability of knowing that not everything's gonna go wrong in her life. But yeah, she's a conflicting main character, and I don't want to rant too much about her and just tell you the entire plot of this story. The other main character that we've got is Arjun, who is an absolute cinnamon bun amazing hero. He is dealing with his own familial issues as well, which are really, really interesting, because his mother, after the breakdown of their family, after the breakdown of her relationship, the divorce to his father, her mother has essentially gone AWOL in his life. You know, she appears sporadically at very random moments throughout his life, but she's never reliable, she's never around. And I think that has created some really intense issues of like trust or distrust, I guess, in him. So he doesn't really trust anyone around him to stay around him. He thinks that everyone's going to leave him, just like his mother did, which is understandable considering everything he's gone through. And I think what I really like about him as a main character is that he, despite at the beginning of the book being very tentative and being very unwilling to vocalize his feelings, he really grows throughout the story, experiencing this relationship or fake relationship with Maduri. He ends up confronting his mother and going like, look, you gave me massive trust issues, and I both respect and am a little bit jealous of his bravery in that moment. And I think it's a very important discussion to have about how, you know, just because people are your blood doesn't mean that you owe them something. You know, it's important to have these discussions with family when they're not treating you right. So I'm honestly amazed by him as a main character. I'm really enjoying this book, so I'm just gonna smash right through to the end, and I will give you my thoughts once I've gotten to the end of this book. But before I do, I just wanted to do a very, very brief book haul, which I think I've done one already in this video, so you're getting a second one because I did some shopping after I got my hair done, and I got 2 books, 2, not 4, 2. The first one I got is Love Struck by Laura Jane Williams. This is a recent release by this author, and I've read, I think, one other book by her before, which was The Love Square, and I had fun with it. So I figured I'd pick up this one, and as for what it's about, it says, Becca Calloway is calling it. She's ready for Mr. Right, and she's ready now. She even goes as far as to hold a manifestation ceremony for him, and when she receives a text from her ex, 5 minutes later, she knows it's a sign. The problem is, she doesn't know which way it's pointing. Should Becca reply and reignite things with her old flame Mike, or delete and block, moving forward with the new man in her life? Becca has one choice, with 2 ways this could go, and in Love Struck, you're about to see them both. And then I got the Waterstones exclusive edition, so there's like this little lightning bolt on the side and like yellow sprayed edges, which I love. So that's book number 1, very, very summery look about it. And book number 2, you're probably not gonna be surprised at all to be seeing, because everybody has been ranting and raving about how amazing this book is, and so I had to join the hype train, and I kind of want to do an Is It Worth the Hype video where I react to myself reading this book and see if I enjoy it. And the book is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I got this beautiful hardcover, shiny cover edition of it from Waterstones. It's not an exclusive edition or anything, I just think it's gorgeous. Just a simple black hardback. But as for what it is about, the blurb says, and by the way, I have no idea what this is about, I just know that everybody's been raging about it, but you guys might already know. For my own knowledge, it says, welcome to the brutal and elite world of Basgiath War College. 20-year-old Violet Sorengale was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. Now the commanding general, her toughest talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Navarre, dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away, because dragons don't bond to fragile humans, they incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter. Like Xaden Riorson, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly, the kingdom's protective wards are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Everyone at Basgiath has an agenda, so sleep with one eye open, because once you enter, there are only 2 ways out. Graduate or die. That sounds fascinating. That's my mini book haul. That's my thoughts on this book. I'm gonna finish it, and my next clip will be me finishing the book and giving you my final review. So I will see you in a second with that. Hey, coming in here with the final update for this vlog, which is that I finished
Kismat Connection by Ananya Devarajan. I did only give this book 2.5 stars, but I think a big part of the reason for that is because it's sold as a YA friends to lovers romance, or at least that's the kind of line it leads on the back of the book. But I think it's really more about familial relationships, familial love, and personal growth, especially when faced against mass amounts of prejudice from those around you, from the environment that you're in, just because of your culture and the things that come with that. But as for my general review, I guess, of this book, I think first of all, I know that in my previous clip, I was saying that I was coming to terms with Midori as a character. I was slowly growing to like her a bit more, but I think by the end of this story, I just really ended up disliking her as a character because of that manipulation, because of the fact that she was fully aware that Arjun was in love with her and then still choosing to go on with this experiment. Whilst I understand that a lot of that is to do with her own insecurities and a lot of that is to do with the bullying and everything that she faced and how she's really trying to reject her culture because she blames it for everything that she's gone through. I just can't excuse that level of immaturity and that level of meanness to someone who has really stuck by your side for a really long time, and you know, despite the fact that you've argued with them about petty little things and have been really rude to them and really sort of criticized them for believing in aspects of their culture that are just so integral to everything that's important to him. So by the end of this book, I really struggled to like Midori, and I think that really impacted a lot of my feelings about the book more generally, because it's hard to believe in a romance between two people when you really think one of those people hasn't grown through the story, remains that immature person, remains that mean and manipulative person that they were at the beginning of the book, especially when the other person in that romance is just an absolute cinnamon bun. Like, I am obsessed with Arjun as a character. I think he is so sweet, so cute. I think he is so brave in the way that he stood up to his mother, and the way he grew through the story was just so perfect. So I just couldn't believe in their relationship because I didn't think that she deserved him. And I think another reason why I couldn't believe in the relationship as much as I wanted to was because there wasn't as much time actually spent relationship building. You're told that these two people have feelings for each other, but you're not really witnessing any scenes where they are just engaging with each other and then internally in their like internal monologue that's like pining after what the other one is saying. There's a lot more scenes with all the other side characters and there's familial bonds, familial relationships and issues and cultural issues that they're dealing with, but not actually all that much time just with these two characters engaging with each other, falling in love with each other, not fighting with each other, which means the relationship doesn't feel convincing, which means the book doesn't feel convincing, which means my enjoyment of the book is significantly hindered. I had that same issue about those foundational moments not really being created for these characters. So when they would have big epiphanies about some relationship they had with someone else and they would refer back to previous occurrences and previous conversations they'd had with that person, we didn't see those conversations happen on page, so it was really hard to believe in these big epiphany moments and get really involved and invested in them because we didn't see the foundation that led up to them. The other thing I guess that I do want to say is that I think the logic of these like prophecy and readings and everything that the mother does in this story needs to be a little bit more explained, because I think there were moments where I was like, is this some magical realism sort of story? Is that what this path is going down? Because the prophecies or the readings that she does for Arjun and Midori are very, very accurate, very pinpoint, and from a logic perspective, I can't believe that if there isn't some sort of foundational magical realism element put in there, because it's just not possible in real life that her prophecies could be that accurate. But anyway, I did really enjoy the familial side of this. I did enjoy the personal growth that Arjun went through throughout the story. I thought he was a beautiful main character. So I did give this book 2.5 stars, and I think it has a lot of promise. There are just a few things that need to be fleshed out a bit more. And I'm saying this knowing full well that this is coming out on June 13th. There are no more edits to be made, but these are all things that I would do if I were to change this book a little bit at all. Anyway, that's beside the point. We are now at the end of this vlog. I've officially finished both arcs that I set out to read at the beginning of this vlog, and I finished them both before they actually come out. So you should see this video before they both come out, and you can make your own decision about whether or not you want to pick these up when they come out on June 13 for this book and July 11, I think, for this book. But there we go. That is the end of this vlog. So let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this and if you're planning to pick up either of these books after hearing my thoughts about them, or just let me know what you're reading at the moment, loving it, hating it, all that kind of thing. Come and chat to me in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys and I do my best to reply to every single comment. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do let me know by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell all down below. It's a super, super easy way to help my channel grow, and I will see you lovely people in my next video. Bye!